Welcome to Critical Storytelling, where I use critical analysis to help you tell your story. And we've been discussing the framed narrative and the dramatic monologue and how Coleridge uses them in the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And so now we need to look at how he is using them together to control the narrative. And in the first part, he goes back and forth between the frame of the story where the mariner, the storyteller, is outside of a wedding, and to the actual story where the mariner is on a ship at sea. And the second part, it's pretty much all dramatic monologue. It's the mariner telling the story. And we're going to read part 3 today to look at the dynamic between the framed narrative and the dramatic monologue. Part 3 is a continuation of part 2 in that it is more of the story on the ship at sea, and there's no interjection with the frame, which is good because going back and forth too many times may confuse the reader. So Coleridge is sticking with the dramatic monologue element in parts 2 and 3 to keep the reader's focused attention upon the real story. There passed a weary time. Each throat was parched and glazed each eye. A weary time, how glazed each weary eye, when looking westward I beheld a something in the sky. At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved and moved, and took at last a certain shape, I wist. A speck, a mist, a shape, I wist, and still it neared and neared. As if it dodged a water sprite, it plunged and tacked and veered. With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, we could nor laugh nor wail. Through utter drought all dumb we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked the blood, and cried, "A sail! A sail!" With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, agape they heard me call, "Gramercy!" They for joy did grin, and all at once their breath drew in, as they were drinking all. "See, see," I cried, "she tacks no more, hither to work us weal. Without a breeze, without a tide, she steadies with upright keel." The western wave was all aflame, the day was well nigh done. Almost upon the western wave rested the broad bright sun, when that strange shape drove suddenly betwixt us and the sun. And straight the sun was flecked with bars. Heaven's mother, send us grace, as if through a dungeon grate he peered with broad and burning face. "Alas!" thought I, and my heart beat loud, "how fast she nears and nears! Are those her sails that glance in the sun like restless gossameres? Are those her ribs through which the sun did peer as through a grate? And is that woman all her crew? Is that a death? And are there two? Is death that woman's mate?" Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold. Her skin was as white as leprosy, the nightmare life and death was she, who thicks man's blood with cold. The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. "The game is done, I've won," quoth she, and whistles thrice. The sun's rim dips, the stars rush out, at one stride comes the dark. With far-heard whisper o'er the sea, off shot the spectre bark. We listened and looked sideways up, fear at my heart, as at a cup my life-blood seemed to sip. The stars were dim and thick the night, the steersman's face by his lamp gleamed white. From the sails the dew did drip, till clomb above the eastern bar, the horned moon with one bright star within the nether tip. One after one, by the star-dogged moon, too quick for groan or sigh, each turned his face with a ghastly pang and cursed me with his eye. 4 times 50 living men, and I heard nor sigh nor groan. With heavy thump, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one. The souls did from their bodies fly, they fled to bliss or woe, and every soul it passed me by like the whiz of my crossbow. So they've gone from being in this desolate ocean after there was a storm, and then the albatross came, and then the mariner killed the albatross. And their punishment was he had to wear it around his neck, and then they were just like stuck at sea with no wind and couldn't go anywhere. And then all of a sudden they think, okay, here comes good news, and it's this death ship. So, yeah, that's just all monologue. And also, it's technically not. Dramatic monologue wasn't developed as a specific literary device until later in the 1800s. And Coleridge is writing this in the late 1700s. So it is a precursor to that genre. But it's still addressing an important aspect of what the culture is experiencing at this time, where things become so standardized, where products that people are beginning to have in their daily life are becoming mass produced. And so the people, the culture, literature comes together in little ways to develop an answer to overcoming the stress or the strain that modernity can place on human life and the human condition. And that is that the dramatic monologue is a way to progress the narrative and develop character. So while in their daily lives, the people who are reading or writing this begin to see a pressure, a tension with conformity, their answer then becomes to just strike out in prose or in a story. And maybe they're revealing more about themselves personally than they intend. And that's an aspect of the specific literary device, the dramatic monologue, that Robert Browning develops. But I think Coleridge wants all of that. He's not doing it in a way to like, oops, there's some depth psychology revealed here. I think he absolutely wants the reader to be aware of the levels of humanism in the mariner, his mistake. And hopefully we will see something turn around in part 4. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm working on what the next literary device will be. Drop a comment if you have an actual suggestion for that, or if there is a particular public domain work that you would like me to read. Thank you.